Hello everyone, welcome back to LaExcellence Bengaluru presents current issue of the day. There is no greater donation than organ donation. There is no greater than Angadan. On the occasion of World Organ Donation Day, today we will discuss importance of organ donation and what is the status of organ donation in India and what are the policy framework that deals with organ donation in India and what are the issues that are plaguing organ donation in India and how you can address this organ donation. All these things will be discussed in detail in today's episode of CID number 175. With this, we will start the video. So, in syllabus for UPSC, it comes under GS2 Health and Education, and it can also be asked in GS4 Ethics. So, the context on a World Organ Donation Day that is celebrated every year on August 13, India's organ shortage stands out starkly. Annual transplant rose from 4,990 in 2013 to 18,378 in 2023. However, but only 1,099 came from deceased donors. Okay, so we'll discuss what are these deceased donors and why it is very significant that the organ comes from the deceased donors and not from the live donors. Okay, we'll discuss all these issues. First, we'll discuss about organ transplantation or organ donation. Okay, organ donation is one of the greatest triumphs of the modern medicine, transforming one's fatal illness into treatable conditions. Okay, with the help of organ donation, we are now able to treat certain diseases which were initially deemed as untreatable. For example, with the help of donation of eyes, we can treat blindness. With the donation of bone marrow, we can treat issues with respect to bone marrow. We can also help to develop this bone marrow into different cartilages, okay, which can be used in organ transplantation. So this has become a very significant medicine triumph, you can say. So, however, India's progress is constrained by severe gap between the demand and the availability. The donation rate is around 0.8 per million population, which is very less. Only 0.8 per million population is the donation rate, and compared to the global comparison, Spain has 45 plus million population, whereas USA has around 38 per million population, whereas India has only 0.8, which is very meager. And transplants in 2023 was around 18,378 only, of which only 1,099 came from the deceased donors, meaning those who have already died and who have donated their organs, meaning almost rest of the 17,000 donations came from live or real people who are still alive. Okay, next impact is over 5 lakh preventable deaths every year due to non-availability of the organs. So on the World Organ Donation Day, the call is to shift from viewing donation as an exceptional act to making it a societal norm. Okay, normally what happens in the Indian society is the person who dies or a person who is going to die, and if he is providing his organs for donation, he is considered to be a noble act, is considered to be an exceptional act. Though it is very noble, though it is the greatest donation, however, it should not be an exception, rather should be considered as a societal norm. More and more people should go for donating their organs post their death. That is the call for this year's World Organ Donation, particularly in India. So, the magnitude of gap, just a comparative analysis between India and one of the best practice countries, that is Spain. Donation rate is only 0.8 in India, whereas it is 45 plus million per million population, and percentage from the deceased donors is only 6%, whereas in Spain the majority, more than 90%, comes from the deceased donors, and the preventable deaths per year is around 5 lakh plus. More than 5 lakh people are dying because of the non-availability of the organs, whereas in Spain it is very minimal, and the awareness level in India is very low, very meager, you can say, whereas in Spain it is very high and it is integrated into the health system. Okay, so this can be followed in India as well. Then which organs can be donated? So what are the organs that can be donated? So percentage to the responders awareness. So 9% of the veins have been donated, 99% are donated by eyes, and 98% kidney, 86% heart, 68% liver, 33% lungs, and 30% skin. Many of the people don't even know that the skin can be donated as well. Skin grafting happens in the medicine, but many of the people are unaware of this. And 17% bones, 15% intestine, and 11% pancreas. All these things can be donated. Okay, so these are some of the organs that can be donated to people. Okay, so these are the organs that can be donated in India under the organ transplantation rules. So there are certain prevailing myths which act as a barriers. Why there is low level of awareness and why there is only 0.8 per million donations? Those are because of prevailing myths, the so-called myths. First is the body disfigurement fear. That is, retrieval preserves body for the last rites. Many of the people have deep religious connections that once the death of their loved ones happens, they want them to be buried or in cremated, and they want the body to be intact. So they do not want this body disfigurement. And next is the religious objection. That is, all major religions in India or faiths endorse donation as an act of compassion. It is considered as an act of compassion. However, what should be the norm is that it should be a societal norm. Next is the brain death mistrust. That is, fear of premature declaration. However, THOTA, that is, we will discuss about THOTA, ensures strict safeguards. Okay, many people believe that after the death, if you go for the organ donation, they feel that there is a chance that the person can come alive even after the death. They see that brain death happens post death, so they think that if you go for organ donation, they think that the very little chance that a person can come back from the death is also reduced to zero, because they think that when the organ is provided, it will lead to brain death. Next is eligibility misconceptions. That is, older adults and those dying natural deaths can donate tissues. Cornea, skin, bone, walls, all this can be donated. However, there is a eligibility misconception that older people or those dying of natural deaths cannot be donated. Next is urban-rural divide. With respect to awareness and infrastructure largely confined to metro cities only. Okay, many people in rural areas still consider these issues, that body disfigurement and the religious objections are there for organ donation. That has to be overcome. Next, policy and institutional framework. What are the policy and institutional framework in India? First is Transplantation of Human Organs and Tissues Act of 1994, that is THOTA 1994. According to this recognizes brain death as a legal death. Okay. Next is it regulates removal, storage, and transplantation. It prohibits commercial trading of organs, and then it mandates authorization committees for unrelated donors. Okay. Next is it was amended in 2011. Now it included tissues such as cornea, skin as part of organ donation. Now, and it has also strengthened enforcement of penalties, enforcement as well as penalties. Okay. So this is a comprehensive statutory framework available in India which deals with organ transplantation. Next is the institutional framework. Under the institution, the major institution is National Organ and Tissue Transplant Organization, that is NOTO. And there is one more organization, that is SOTO, that is State Organ and Tissue Transplant Organization. Okay, this NOTO is the apex body which works under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. It was established in 2014. The functions of NOTO are: it maintains the National Organ and Tissue Waiting List. It runs National Organ Allocation Registry for transparency. It frames protocols for organ retrieval, storage, and distribution. It coordinates with ROTO, that is regional, and SOTO, that is state, for decentralized operations. It provides training to transplant coordinations. Next, it organizes awareness campaigns such as Angdan Mahotsav, a very important campaign with related to awareness generation on organ donation. Next is the achievements. The achievements of Noto is that it created a centralized online platform for real-time organ matching so that there are lesser delays. And then it integrated data from 5 rotos and multiple sotos for pan-India reach. The roto is a regional one and soto is a state one. Next is the challenges with respect to Noto is digital registry still underutilized in rural areas, and then coordination gap between the public and private hospitals. So these are some of the challenges. However, Noto has been a very critical organization dealing with organ transplantation in India. Next is technologies and innovations with respect to organ transplantation in the world. One is the National Organ Allocation Software. What does it do? It ensures equitable allocation. And then blockchain. It has potential for secure organ tracking and preventing black market trade. Most of the times what happens with respect to organ donation is that many of the important organs such as kidney, eyes, etc. are traded on the black market for a larger or higher cost. Okay, that has to be reduced. What can be done here is you can use the blockchain technology for proper tracking. Next is bioprinting research. The prospects for lab grown kidneys and liver tissues, which uses genetic augmentation technology. Genetic augmentation, which uses the cells from the bone marrow, are also called as pluripotent cells. Pluripotent cells which can be diversified into or divided into different cells such as kidney. Okay, or also in certain cases the fat cells can be transplanted into or can be converted into cartilaginous cells, which can be used in diseases like arthritis. Okay, arthritis more majorly causes in or caused in or is seen in elder population, where the joints of the elder people starts paining because the cartilages, okay, the tissues that connect different bones at the joints are are tearing up or wearing up. So here these fat tissues can be converted into these tissues and then can be used in the patients of arthritis. Okay, and next is robotic assisted transplant surgeries, which provides greater precision and faster recovery. And then tissue preservation technologies, extending viability for transport. And some of the issues with respect to this issue is that the immune response. Okay, issue with respect to organ transplantation is the immune response. What happens with immune response is most of the times when we try to transplant organ from one person to another person, the tissue or the immunity thinks that it is a pathogen rather than organ transplantation. So it starts acting as acting against this particular organ which is going to be introduced. Okay, so that has to be addressed. Here you have to take care of HLA compatibility, and they have to take about ABO blood group compatibility. Everything will be coming up. Okay, when there is a compatibility with respect to HLA, only then they can be grafted. Only then the skin can be grafted. Only then the organ can be transplanted. So there are some issues which is not very relevant for UPSC, but just have an idea about it. Next, ethical challenges and dilemmas related to organ donations for GS4, that is ethics. Okay, so one of the important ethical dilemmas or challenges is with respect to informed consent and autonomy. That is ensuring that the donor or the family fully understands the implications of organ donation and voluntarily agrees without any coercion from the external factors, be it the government, be it the hospitals, etc. Next is equitable allocations, very important. That is distributing organs fairly where we avoid favoritism, wealth or influence based bias. Okay. Next, transparency and privacy. That is balancing public accountability with the donors and the recipients' confidentiality. Next is cultural and religious sentiments. Here, respecting diverse beliefs while promoting organ donation awareness. Next is prevention of commercialization and exploitation. The case which happened with respect to surrogacy as well. Okay, what happened with surrogacy was initially it was seen as a noble cause which was helping the parents or the couples who are not able to have a child biologically could use the surrogacy as an alternative method. However, it converted into a commercialized or exploited industry. Now that is why we have to bring again laws with respect to surrogacy. We have already discussed about surrogacy. We can check in the said episodes. Next, safeguarding against organ trade, coercion of vulnerable groups, and unethical incentives. All these things are ethical challenges or dilemmas which has to be considered when we deal with organ transplantation. Okay. Next, what are the strategies to improve organ transplantation in India? First and foremost is generating the awareness in India. Awareness and behavioral change. That is, integrate organ donation in education in schools and college curriculum. Regular community workshops through primary healthcare centers and ASHA workers. Public storytelling via media using real donor recipient journeys. Next, religious leaders as the advocates to break cultural barriers. So here the social influence and the persuasion, okay, is put to use. Next, policy reforms. Here, introduce presumed consent model with safeguards. Next, mandatory donor status declaration at driving license or passport application. Next, expand Ayushman Bharat to cover all transplant costs including post-surgery care. Next is incentivize the hospitals for successful deceased donor retrieval. And finally, institutional strengthening. Here, equip all tertiary hospitals with the trained transplant coordinators, strengthen ROTO, SOTO, and NOTO linkages for real-time organ matching, and finally, create mobile organ retrieval teams for rural outreach. Okay, so there is a time period before what the organ can be retrieved. Okay, if the organ, if there is a gap between the death and the retrieval of organ, then the organ is of no use for any transplantation. So that has to be addressed. How you can address it? You can address this with the help of these mobile organ retrieval groups. Okay, so these are the strategies how you can improve this organ transplantation and organ donation in India. So this is the topic which I wanted to discuss with you today. A very important topic can be asked in the upcoming mains. So note down the important topics, note down important points which I told here. You can use this as a fodder material in your mains. So if you like the video, then please hit the like button, comment on it, and also share with your friends. If you have any suggestions for me or recommendations for me, you can write in the comment box. Or if you have any video idea with you, you can write in the comment box, and I'll be bringing a video regarding that particular topic. So with this, I will be ending the video. Jai Hind, Jai Karnataka.